Another way the government is taking over our lives while completely looting the nation, transferring all economy to the bankers, and just making a joke of our country is through the National Oceans Council, another branch of that United Nations Agenda 21 takeover that they've had so much trouble passing. And it's just like the rural councils that Obama announced in 2010, with a long list of government agencies from the Department of Defense to Homeland Security and plenty of others in charge, supposedly, of all the nation's waterways. But that doesn't just mean water. That doesn't just mean coastlines. It includes rivers, lakes, streams. It also includes sources of water. So on the basis of snowfall, for example, they could be regulating mountain areas, environmental regions, on and on. It's all part of the larger sustainable development grab. And so from the Human Events article, Zoning the Ocean by Audrey Hudson, she elaborates on Obama's executive order from 2010. President Obama has an ambitious plan for Washington bureaucrats to take command of the oceans, and with it, control over much of the nation's energy, fisheries, even recreation, in a move described by lawmakers as the ultimate power grab over the zone of the seas. It's pure administrative fiat, Senator David Vitters said. And he's someone who actually, despite his own controversies and lackings, has been on much of the scientific takeover agenda. I know he was early on questioning John P. Holdren, who happens to head this Oceans Council, on his genocidal quotes from the past and other questions along these lines about these United Nations power grabs. So it goes on. The order says they shall develop a scheme for oversight of oceans and all the sources thereof. That is Representative Flores saying, so you could have a snowflake land on Pikes Peak, and ultimately it's going to wind up in the water. As a result, they could regulate every square inch of U.S. soil, because the water goes everywhere, the air goes everywhere. The United Nations wants to take over what they call the global commons, because it knows no borders, no bounds. All people are subject to the basic elements of our planet. So if they can establish regulation over that, they've got us all. The article goes on. Critics of the revised plan say it's more narrowly focused, and the Obama administration is taking their marching orders from environmental groups who want to move away from multiple-use ocean policy to a no-use policy. What have we always said about Agenda 21 is to restrict land, keep people, move them away from the land so it's not usable, so it's zoned in a way that the land cannot be used. That's largely what this is about. Now, the National Oceans Council and this plan is still in draft form, and they're still simultaneously trying to pass the Law of the Sea Treaty, or LOST, as in lost sovereignty, which is the United Nations form of this treaty. It's still in draft form, but it still has called for over 150 milestones to be accomplished by next year, and they are in the process of implementing it. And so you look at the membership of the National Ocean Council. It's co-chaired by John P. Holdren, the notorious eugenicist, the genocidalist, who is basically the science czar under Obama. He's one of the authors of Ecoscience. You also have Nancy Sutley of the Council on Environmental Quality. But look at the rest of the list. It's the cabinet officials appointed by Obama and so forth and so on. Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State. Leon Panetta, Secretary of Defense. Ken Salazar, Secretary of the Interior. Tom Vilsack, Secretary of Agriculture, who's basically a front man just for Monsanto and Company. Sebelius, Head of Health and Human Services. You got Commerce, Labor, Transportation, Energy, and on, including Janet Napolitano, Head of Homeland Security. This is exactly like the Rural Council. In this case, they're trying to establish a council or a Soviet or an unelected governorship over the waterways, as they similarly are trying to do over the rural areas, the farmlands, the non-metro districts. Let's cue that clip.
That they've also asked for the right to imprison farmers who wouldn't keep books as prescribed by the federal government. The Secretary of Agriculture asked for the right to seize farms through condemnation and resell them to other individuals. And contained in that same program was a provision that would have allowed the federal government to remove 2 million farmers from the soil.
If you live in the heartland of America, you have to listen up. While the nation was distracted with the Anthony Weiner drama, President Obama signed an executive order that will seize greater power over food, fiber, and energy in our vast countryside areas. The president created the White House Rural Council to, quote, make sure we're working across government to strengthen rural communities and promote economic growth. Sounds great, but get this. The council involves a long list of the most powerful people in America. Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner, the Defense Secretary's on it, Attorney General Eric Holder, even the head of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano. Why would Homeland Security be involved in exerting power and influence?
And so here we have Cassandra Anderson's article for Infowars. She also has her own blog at Morph City, commenting on Obama's Executive Order 13547, passed in July of 2010. And as she points out in the article, it is basically the United Nations Law of the Sea Treaty, or LOST, as in lost sovereignty, but they couldn't get that passed. It's part of the larger Agenda 21, and so they're passing under executive fiat this total takeover of the waterways. And it's just important to note the degree to which they plan to take over everything. It's sickening. You saw what they're doing in the Rural Council, and here they have it again. It's all these Obama administration officials over everyone's life, unelected, just like the governor's board. The governors themselves were originally elected, but nobody ordered the board of 10 governors who preside over the FEMA regions. And then similarly, they have the nation's waterways, the coastways, on, broken up into their own 9 regions. The whole point here is they're trying to regionalize the United States, put it under regional control, subregions and the larger North American region, all under global governance, with dozens of agencies, like the ropes over Gulliver's Travels. The Lilliputians have rope after rope binding them down. Not one rope, lots of tiny ropes circling the globe, putting it under control gradually through all these different policies, through these different advisory panels, through these Soviet blocs. That's what real communism is. It's unelected boards ruling over you. I think I made that point, so I'll just move on. And that will be our quote of the day. Watching television is like taking black spray paint to your third eye. That was from Bill Hicks, and how true it is. It's just like drinking fluoride kills the pineal gland, which is the scientific name for the third eye. Really, we're just being distracted under the television systems and the rest of the mind control to keep us from who we really are, from realizing what's really going on in our world, and of course, keeping us on our couch and from taking a stand against what's happening. I hope you won't do that. I hope you'll support Prison Planet TV, help us reach more viewers, tell everyone about the Infowars Nightly News, go out on the streets yourself with the signs, the billboards, the banner hangs, and the rest of it, and let's fight back against this damn system. We're going to be back with Alex Jones and a crucial interview from Jane Graham, eyewitness to the Oklahoma City bombing, saw the feds in action doing what they did. How horrible. And we're also going to show you the Senator Rand Paul interview that was so big and important that we heard earlier today on the show. You'll hear that on the break, as well as contest submissions. Thanks for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow.